Good evening, everyone, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this video. This is my review of the PlayStation Experience Keynote press event, the Keynote event, that took place yesterday, but I wasn't able to watch it until this evening because it took forever for someone to get it on YouTube, and PlayStation finally posted the entire keynote on YouTube, so I finally got to watch it, and here is my review. I won't be able to. I'm not going to remember everything, obviously, so I'm only going to cover what I can think of on the top of my head. So if I miss something, that's why. I'm going to start with obviously Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Now it looks better, but I wasn't really blown away too much. Like there wasn't any wow moments because I think they're saving the set pieces till later. But well, I one of the things I do like about it is that they've made the gameplay mechanics much more they blend more seamlessly to into each other. So normally when you play Uncharted, you're either in duck and cover mode, you're in melee mode or in stealth mode or whatever. The game has a certain look to the style that you're playing in at the time. Here, it's seamless. It's all seamless. You could be stealth in one moment, and then just a second later, you can do combat or melee or shooting. It just seems more blended. The gameplay mechanics seem more blended into each other, and that's pretty cool. And also, there are little touches here and there, like the new grappling hook that Drake uses. It's like you think you're gonna die, and then oh wait a minute, nope, Nathan's okay. I'll be honest, I was afraid that this game was gonna be canceled. That it was gonna be this generation's Last Guardian, which we still don't see anything from. But luckily, it looks like things are moving along pretty well for Uncharted so far, and an actual big time exclusive on the PlayStation 4. Hope they don't make it cross-gen, but exclusive on PlayStation 4 for all we know right now. And the fact that even though Amy Henning is gone, unfortunately, the fact that the team behind The Last of Us, Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley, are behind it. Um, that's a very good sign, and you can tell they've learned from The Last of Us just looking at the gameplay there. So nothing mind-blowing yet, but they've definitely done some tweaks to the gameplay elements and really blended them seamlessly. And so that's an indication of what's to come. Hopefully we're in for even more awesomeness. I'm sure we are. Next up was MLB 15, the show, an annual sports franchise I don't really care about. I do have sports games, but only one type of game. Like I have one hockey game, one football game, one baseball game, one basketball game, and all I really do is let the game play by let's see the CPUs play each other, while I sit there and watch it like it's a real game because I'm a nerd. But that's all sports games are to me. I don't get excited about annual sports franchises. So, meh. Next up is Bloodborne, and Bloodborne looks like it's going to be a really good game, but it's going to be too hard for me. And that's the point. From Software makes really hard games, and people who like hard games, I bet this game. Hopefully, this game will be good and get great reviews. But I probably am not going to play it. So no. Not that it's bad, not that I think it's going to suck. It's probably going to be a good game, but it looks too hard for me. The bosses in From Software's games are pretty impressive, though, I have to say. They're scary looking and intimidating and have a sense of awe to them. And so, yeah, that's my thoughts on Bloodborne so far. Still no word on Deep Down yet. In a while, I haven't heard anything from Deep about Deep Down for quite some time. I wonder what's going on with that. They played some indie titles. Obviously, there was a lot of indies this time. PlayStation's really focusing on that. I think that's going to be their focus. and I think that's because of their financial situation. They really can't afford a whole bunch of AAA exclusives like last gen, so they're really putting their emphasis on indies, which I don't mind as long as the indies they promote are unique and original and not retro stuff. I don't want a bunch of retro stuff. I don't mind this. I enjoy nostalgia as much as the next person, but I feel like we need to go. Gaming needs to move forward, and indies have a strong potential of doing that. And there are a few indies that I was impressed with at this, and I'll get to them later. But right now, I want to talk about the Vita because they're actually putting out games for the Vita still. I thought the Vita was that they were going to retire the Vita, at least in the States, and silently make it go away because we haven't really seen a lot of games being pushed for this thing. But they are pushing out. They are going to put out more Vita games, so that's a good thing. And honestly, I think for these retro style games, they ought to make them Vita exclusives. And because they're retro games aren't the reason you buy a next gen console for, you know. But portable gaming is perfect for that type of pick up and play Metroidvania style. So my advice, Sony, when it comes to these retro style games, make them exclusive to the Vita. Push them as Vita games. You might find an audience for it because Shovel Knight, perfect example of that type of game. It is coming to Vita, but it's also coming to PlayStation 4, and I don't really think it should. I think it should be exclusive to Vita because it would sell a few Vitas to a small select number of people who are into that sort of thing, and it would be really good on that platform. Okay, what else did they talk about tonight? Until Dawn. Now, I'll be honest, Until Dawn's plot doesn't interest me that much, but the gameplay mechanics do, because it's very similar to David Cage games. It's very heavy rainish, and the and you can tell that this was designed. Not only was this game designed with the move in mind originally, but that it shows the light bar on the controller was meant to be move the next generation of the PlayStation Move. You could tell. And this game does a good job of bringing that out. And one of the things that impressed me was there was a moment where you have to keep still. It shows the light bar and an area where you have to keep your light bar, and if you move outside the area, the killer finds you. So in order to hide from the killer, you have to actually be still in real life. That is tense. And not to mention Hayden Panettiere is in it, and she's super hot. Another game that really uses the DualShock 4 is Tearaway, and it turns out Tearaway Unfolded is a new Tearaway game. So basically, Tearaway is not just one game that's on two platforms. Tearaway is already a franchise, basically. There's two Tearaway games, one for the Vita and one for the PS4. And at first I was underwhelmed by at the initial review for the PlayStation 4 version, but after watching this and seeing more of what the DualShock 4 can be used to break the fourth wall, I'm warming up to this. I was already impressed with the Vita version, but I'm starting to warm up to the PS4 version now. So yeah. So both Tearaway Unfolded and Until Dawn really take advantage of what the DualShock 4 can do, and that is awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong, the playroom's fun and all, but it's just a tech demo, and it's cool to see the DualShock 4 being used in creative ways. And the game and what we saw, by the way, we saw more of No Man's Sky. I've pretty much they're pretty much repeating the same things over and over with the scope of this game. But I will say that ever since I first heard about it, and I saw the initial trailer and heard the developer talk about it, I'm skeptical, but I'm excited at the same time. I would love a game where I can just explore a huge universe, like galaxies upon galaxies. So this just seems like a cool idea for me, especially for someone like me who just likes to explore. This game's all about that. So yeah, I am definitely looking forward. That's one of the main games I'm looking forward to in the future is No Man's Sky. They showed some Batman Arkham Knight stuff. I really think the Axis plant should have been like one trailer instead of three parts because it's too short and it's not really memorable. There was a clip of exclusive DLC that is going to be involving Scarecrow and Nightmares, and I have to say, I have yet to finish Arkham Asylum because I'm at the second Nightmare and I'm too scared to finish it. To this day, and I had this game since 2012. That's how much of a chicken shit I am. That's how much of a scaredy cat I am. And finally, before my time runs out, I want to talk about the new David Jaffe game. The creator of Twisted Metal and God of War is developing a game called Drawn to Death, and that looks freaking fun. I really like that multiplayer. That people are taking chances and trying to do new things with multiplayer. We saw it with Titanfall this year, and already that's becoming the parkour is becoming standard. It was used in the latest Call of Duty. I like what I'm seeing with Evolve, and I like what I'm seeing with Splatoon. It's just cool to see different people experiment with the competitive multiplayer gameplay. And but yeah, this Drawn to Death looks fun. It does. It's basically a competitive multiplayer, arena type multiplayer, third person, where the premise is a teenager has this book of drawings, and you and the other players are these drawings in this paper drawn like notebook paper type world, and it just looks fun and cool. You really should check out the trailer for yourself if you haven't. So yeah. So overall, I know the Xbox fanboys were disappointed because it was mostly indies, because the Xbox fan base doesn't really care for indies that much, even though the Xbox does have some good indies on that system. Um, but overall, so I was prepared to be disappointed. I thought I was going to be disappointed with this, but after watching this, I wasn't. I mean, I was disappointed with the Game Awards. The Game Awards were a letdown, but I think PlayStation did a better job. It wasn't the most mind-blowing overall. It wasn't the best conference I've seen, but it definitely was better than the Game Awards. And mainly because what I saw, for the most part, I mean, there were a few teasers that didn't really tell me enough about what the game was, and I wish that that these teasers would at least let me know more about what the game actually is. But overall, most of this, what I saw, I was able to understand a lot better than a lot of the premieres I saw at the Game Awards, which left me clueless. So yeah, it was pretty fun. If you're not into indie games, I honestly don't think the PlayStation is for you unless you just want the better multi-plat and you don't game on a PC for whatever reason. But Sony has always been the most creative, I think, of the three consoles, and I'm glad they're using the indie space to do things different rather than just a bunch of Metroidvania and retro-style games. They still have those. Don't get me wrong. There are still a few Metroidvania games, a few retro games, and I'm like, okay. But the creative indie games, those look promising, and those look cool, and those look fun. So, and yes, I do like the AAAs too. So, there we go. That is my thoughts on the PlayStation Experience Keynote. And that is all I got to say for it. And that's all I got to say for this video. So, bye.